We have a total of 8 speakers. The first 3 will be Paul H., Brad Tobias, and Todd Madison.
Good evening, Board. I would like to comment on 5C, which is going to change the time for these meetings from 6 to 5. And I would urge a no vote against this, at a minimum, to table this so that there's time for more public comment. If you're going to restrict the public comment and try to make it difficult for the constituents to come and be heard, at least have the decency to let them be heard before you shut them up. When I served on my school board, there were a lot of things that I found uncomfortable or even rude, but listening to the public is a part of being a tolerant and loving community. With this change in OUSD tradition of giving the public enough time to get to the meeting, to attend the meeting, speaks to a hatred of the public. And I can tell that the teacher union has captured this board, and you need to be independent. The union and its puppet masters are making themselves enemies of the public with this despicable motion. Neighboring districts, Vista and Carlsbad, both have enough respect for their constituents to meet at 6. I ask you, which nearby school district meets at 5 o'clock? OUSD would be an anomaly. Why bother even going through the facade of open board meetings? Why not just have all your meetings behind closed doors, away from the prying eyes of the public? This is what I consider a tyrannical move, and I would urge a no vote against this draconian, tyrannical Bolshevik measure. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, Superintendent. Good evening, staff. Thank you for this time, for allowing me to speak and let my voice be known. These opinions are mine and mine alone. I will speak on 2 points. Point 1, item 5C, which is what Paul just spoke about. My question for you is, why make the change? What's so bad about doing it at 6? Will that hour move really make a difference? I think we could all afford to have another cup of coffee instead of just a little bit later for our public. Whose idea was this? Can you name the person or the people? Can you? Okay. These meetings are designed for the public, for all of us. We all love the students. Everyone here. We love the students. We love our children. And it takes a tribe to raise a kid. And all of us, we are a team of parents, teachers, and staff, and you all at the table. Some of us parents, a lot of us parents, can't get off from work until 5, so it's essentially pushing us away. And it's just not this time restriction, it's the limitation on speaking per topic. We all have a voice. Our voices and opinions matter. Every opinion matters, even the ones that I disagree with. They still have value and they still matter. So, can you do this by all means? I mean, just like you were saying, it's no other district is doing this, and this is a terrible move that basically shreds the Brown Act. I recommend keeping the meetings at 6 p.m. just as they are. There are far more concerning matters like the fiscal storms coming up, which brings me to my next point, item 7. For these raises, while I feel that teachers deserve more, the money can be used better. Hey, I love teachers. I got family members who are teachers. I respect teachers. I want to be here without teachers pouring into me and being just awesome people. All right, and I want to bring up the story. So there's a story about 3 men who were given money by their boss. The first 2 took their earnings and invested in them, which doubled them, and their boss was overjoyed with them. Third person took that money and buried it, which brought shame upon his boss because it wasn't invested in and 0 advancements. I feel like the raises that are proposed will basically bury those funds that the boss has given to us. By the way, the public, we are the boss. I recommend reworking this and include a discretionary account for teachers to pay for supply classrooms only, or classroom supplies only, that will go directly to the students. Because I think we all, regardless on where we are in this room, we all came to read that students need all that we can give them. Thank you for the time.
All right, so as always, thanks for allowing me, lowly community members, to address the board. We apologize for the inconvenience of forcing you to spend 3 minutes pretending to care. You've taken advantage of every gray area in the Brown Act to suppress parent input. You've cut off live streaming so parents can't see what you're doing. Now you're going to make meeting times less convenient for working people. We expect 5-0 approval. None of you will say a thing about how parent-unfriendly these board meetings have become, will you? Tonight, we've got the most consequential spending of this year on the agenda. A nice big set of bonus raises for everyone. The state has told us funding is going to be cut, but of course the first thing our union and district does is get in big raises while they can. And of course the board will vote 5-0, a given since this board always does what its masters want. You already know in 2022 the median total compensation of a certificated employee is $128,651. An administrator, $168,111. You have no data showing anyone leaving because they're unhappy with pay. You get 5 fully qualified applicants per job opening. Pay is not leading people to leave or discouraging applicants. But in our district, we don't let a little thing like lack of data showing we have a problem prevent our board from approving millions in spending to fix the non-existent problem, especially when the solution is more money for adults. With future funding in question, it's time to make sure we get in big raises now so when the time cuts come, we can't connect the two. The disclosure on this shows average total comp for teachers will be $153,000 a year. Average for admin, $210,000 a year. That's your own disclosure. You are aware of over 60% of OUSD's families qualify for free lunch, less than $39,000 per household, right? As always, those negotiating for our kids will see some pretty big total increases for themselves. $15,000 a year from Mr. McAteer, $13,000 a year from Ms. Norman, $11,000 a year from Ms. Blackman, etc., etc. If our superintendent is included, she'll see over $21,000 a year. That would be a mortgage payment for many families in one raise with no connection to having improved the education of our kids. Less than half of our kids are proficient in English and math. What you're about to do is going to cost over $32 million in the next 3 years, a bit more than 1 degree. None of it does anything to improve education. This is just the usual, more for employees, very little for kids. Because our community is completely blind to the idea that taking money from kids to benefit the bank account of adults is wrong. Our board is happy to take advantage of that. More than ever, we need our community to wake up and vote out incumbents in the coming election. Thank you very much.
Patty Kay and Michael Richardson.
Good evening, Beth Farnham. So I'm here speaking on 5C. So I have an issue with it moving from 6 p.m. to 5 p.m. We try and attend city council meetings, which are at 5 p.m., and we never make it. My husband and I rush home, get the kids fed if we can, get over there, and sometimes it's 5:45 and they are almost done with their meeting. I even rushed home and got on Zoom, and because they actually still live stream, and it's done. So what you are doing is a disservice to working parents. I know what we're saying doesn't mean anything. You guys are going to do what you're going to do, and like everyone has said before me, you actually do not care what we think. There's going to be an election coming up soon, and the 2 incumbents are going to be going away. The 2 rhinos that are in the room are going to leave because you're going to be exposed for what you represent. You don't represent the children. Seriously, I have a friend that's on Camp Pendleton. Her son is at Stuart Mesa. She tries every time to get here, and she cannot. You move it to 5, and she just forget it. And you don't respond to her emails either. So if you're for the kids, you'll table this. Seriously, it is disgusting.
I'm titling my general consent item comments to where's the transparency. Item C, just a quick note. At the council meetings, 2 people can put an item on an agenda, their names and what it is stated on the agenda. I would like that done here. We'd like to know who suggested this and why. And so I will be putting a request in. Number D, ratification of warrant list. The direct pay on that board, and you authorize all these and approve them and everything. 3 pages for mileage, pretty much all mileage. That in 1 month's time, that's quite a bit. Don't you think that should be reviewed? I do. In the revolving cash fund, this is cash fund. There are 2 charges. One is for $15,000. This is out of your cash fund for a particular company. I don't know, it's postage or whatever. You do that much in a year, or maybe it's for machinery. Can you itemize that for transparency? And I think there should be a limit on credit card purchases. I mean, I think the rest of them have to be pre-authorized, so a credit card should just be just a one-time thing now and then. In reference to, we'd like some more transparency on HH, the approval of the out-of-state trip to Chicago for Education Research and Development Institute. When you go to the webpage, it says that we cannot access the agenda if we're not members. I would like to know the agenda for that conference in Chicago. It's Spring Thought Leader Symposium, April 28th to the 30th, I believe. Okay, and then the salary increases for superintendents. In the outside world, we had a business, and it was called win-win. When the person in charge achieved then financial reward, then the employees also achieved. That was a win-win, so it would be a percentage. And that was a positive thing. Unfortunately, in the school district, I see that it's a win-lose situation. Win for those that get the pay raises, and lose for the students. On AA, approval of purchase to the tutoring program, I'd like to request who will be monitoring the students' progress, and if it is free and voluntary, how do you monitor if the students participate and what the outcome is? There was no information on that. In regards to the contract, the source on your website says that is a 2-year.
Thank you.
I'm finishing my sentence.
No, you're not. Thank you.
I'm finishing what it says.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Will be Michael Richardson, Charles Joy, and Marissa Crawford.
Here we are again. I keep wanting to ask you, have you no shame? First you take away the TV coverage, then you limit the number of minutes or seconds we can talk. Now you want to make the meeting less attainable, less attendable. I don't know what you're thinking. I mean, I do know, but it's all self-serving and has nothing to do with the school, the kids, or the parents. I would like to ask you to change the time to 7 o'clock so that more parents can attend, because we have a dearth of parents at every one of these meetings, and I know why. Because they're feeding their kids and they're rushing to get home from work. You don't have that problem. I know you don't. Think about that. 7 o'clock.
Hello, I'm Chuck Jordan, I'm the new union president, so you gotta bear with me a little bit. But I'm here to talk about the negotiations, they're not going good. And right now, you're offering us 4.5%, and then you're taking away $1,000 to pay for insurance. Right now, we have every year, people that are below minimum wage. Every year, something happens where they get a little bit extra money until we complete our negotiations. That money is taken away, and then whatever percent we get is added to them. It's unfair. How do you give people money and then take it away? Two, how can everybody make money but the classified people that actually come to work in the mornings, close the buildings at night, feed the kids, provide security? For you guys too, and yet we're still close to minimum wage. That's ridiculous. If I ran a business like that, I know I wouldn't have a business for long. Thank you.
Hello, distinguished trustees, board president, and Superintendent Vitale. I'm here to speak tonight as the classified negotiations chair. The classified staff were slighted this year. The district showed us we are not valuable members of this district. How did the district do this? The district met with the certificated union 3 times before coming back to the table to meet with the classified staff. Number 2, the district offered certificated 5% as well as other very expensive additions to the contract. Meanwhile, they subtracted the cost of squaring our salary schedule from our 5%. They are saying that the squaring cost the district 0.57, which equates to about $250,000. Why? Why would it subtract the cost of anything from the 5% we deserve? Number 3, we know the cost of insurance has skyrocketed. However, the classified staff should not be punished because our pay has not kept up with inflation over the past 5+ years. Last but most upsetting, for the first time that I've seen in the 25 years that I've been with Oceanside Unified School District, the district is rewarding themselves with a raise before coming to an agreement with the classified staff. In the past, administrators always got what we got and not what certificated got. Tonight, the elected officials of the Oceanside Unified School Board will show if they care that the district is giving themselves a raise before completing the classified contract. This is an absolute injustice. On Friday, Chapter President Chuck Joy reached out to the district to let them know the results of the vote. I have not heard from the district to see how we move forward. So I ask you, the elected officials of the Oceanside Unified School District, is this okay with you? Is this okay for administrators to be rewarded before coming to an agreement with the CSEA classified staff of the Oceanside Unified School District?
We have 5. The first 2 will be Todd Madison and Sandra Smith.
All right, thank you. So thanks again for allowing us to speak here at the end of the meeting. We saw earlier you'd rather not go through the inconvenience of listening at all, but at least until the law allows you to lock the door, we'll still be here. So thank you, Nancy, for trying at least. Earlier in the meeting, we saw the board once again ignore its main responsibility to manage the district in a financially responsible way that improves the education of our kids. We've seen union representatives demand they be the board priority, not our kids. And the board, owned by the union, does what their owners tell them, of course. The priority of our district and board is clearly the bank account of adults, not the education of kids. We're now going to give $32 million to adults over the next few years. Our teachers do a great job, but what if the priority was actually improving the education of kids? We're a school district, I believe. More than one degree at a time would be nice. Parents' number one priority, as we've seen in the past, for their kids is usually smaller class sizes, not maintaining the current size. Instead of downsizing by not filling vacant positions, we could take this opportunity to keep the same number of teachers and use the empty classrooms in our district to lower class sizes further. That would benefit kids and make the job easier for teachers. The money could be used to cut class sizes by about 4 kids per class. If we did 2 rounds of this, class sizes would be under 20 kids per class. Wouldn't that be amazing? And beneficial to kids and teachers? But then that would just benefit kids. We hear about low starting pay and difficulties attracting STEM teachers, but we don't see a specific effort focused on starting teacher pay or increasing pay for in-demand specialties. A few percentage of this money focused on the starting ranks could give them a significant raise, more than they could save themselves by opting out of union dues. We don't see the district giving teachers more classroom supply funding. 5% of this money could give teachers hundreds of dollars to spend on their classroom. But we don't see that done because having teachers pay for their own supplies makes it for a talking point that's just too good to get rid of, isn't it? What about busing kids to school? Imagine how happy parents would be if you restarted a real busing program. Given the problem we have with enrollment, now 470, I guess, how parents would love that. Districts about climate change focus, you would think taking thousands of cars off the roads every day would be a no-brainer. But it would cut into money for bigger paychecks. Sorry, not going to work. I've quoted Joe Biden to you before, it seems time to do it again. He said, "Don't tell me what you value, show me your budget and I'll tell you what you value." We see your budget, we just did, we know what you value. It's not the education of our kids. Thank you.
Sandra. Charles. Michael Richardson.
Pass.
Our last speaker, Maria Jones.
Good evening, Board President Alvarez, Superintendent Vitale, and the rest of the board members and the cabinet. Nice to see you all here tonight. I'm here because March 31st is Trans Day of Visibility. And I just wanted to let you all know about that day. I'm standing up here to enthusiastically and unapologetically celebrate transgender and gender diverse students, staff, and family members. I also want to talk a little bit about a student named Nex Benedict, who was a student in a school in Oklahoma. They were a 16-year-old non-binary Native student who was pretty seriously beaten by some students in the bathroom at their school. They died a few days later. It hasn't been determined exactly why they died. In that school, no adults helped Nex at that moment. Nex had been bullied and harassed for quite some time before that. Nex could be my kid. Next could be any one of our kids in this district who identifies as trans or non-binary. We know that words matter in that school district, Owasso. From board members, members of the public, we heard words that were denigrating, to say the least. We saw the Oklahoma State Superintendent do the same thing. Words, rhetoric, and misinformation, it all matters. And it does trickle down to the schools and makes other students feel emboldened to do the kinds of things that they were able to do to next. So what I want to say finally, though, is thank you. Thank you for being a board, a superintendent, a cabinet, who have written excellent policies that follow our state laws and our federal laws that protect all of our LGBTQ students. These protect our students. It helps them keeps them safe. It makes it so that I can tell students, hey, this district has your back. You tell me if something's going on, something needs to change, and this district will in fact back you up. I'm proud to work for a district that does the daily work to ensure that trans and gender diverse students are not only safe, but hopefully affirmed so they can just be themselves, learn, grow, and go on to be joyful, have joyful futures like every one of our students deserves. All right, thanks everyone.